Hey everybody, we are on screen, off screen, back with another good episode. Josh, take it off with Suits.
Suits LA.
I did watch this.
You did watch it.
I did watch this. I kind of forgot I watched this, and that'll probably tell you a little bit about my score, but I watched this.
Well, the good. Steven, whatever his name is, does a good job. He
Okay.
does a good job. I think the actors generally do a good job in this series, at least so far, with only having watched the first episode. Um, it's Suits. It's more Suits. If you like Suits, there's more of it. It's got the same kind of feel to it. Okay. Negatives. The one thing I was wishing this series wouldn't have, it has.
What is that?
Another secret. But this time, it doesn't work.
I completely agree.
It doesn't work because in original Suits, we know what the secret is, and we have a reason to root for the main character on not getting his secret out. This time, we
Yeah.
don't know what the secret is, and we don't care if his secret gets caught.
Yep. And we're just like, just tell us what the stupid secret is. Stop
Yeah.
doing this stupid bullshit.
Just it's whatever. You've already built up the secret to more than what it can possibly live up to.
Yep.
So tell us, let's move on and let's have some good courtroom drama goodness. Because I love good courtroom drama stuff.
Me too.
That's kind of where I'm at. Right now, I would rate it like a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm interested enough to keep watching, but not because of the secret, whatever it is. Because it's more Suits and I like Suits a lot.
Yeah. I would probably, I don't know what I'd give it. My biggest problem with this actually is that Stephen Amell feels like a cosplay of Harvey to me. Like the way that he speaks, I even think his voice, he tried to make it sound like Harvey. And the writers are obviously the same writers as the ones that wrote Harvey. So I feel like I'm literally just getting a Harvey clone. And the entire time I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Like it
Did you miss
literally
the
pulled
part
me
where
out.
he was trying to be Harvey? That's
No,
part of his
I
character.
I heard that, but I don't like it. Like I
Okay.
genuinely do not enjoy it at all. Every other actor does a good job with the role that they're provided and it didn't take me out of the material I was watching. Steven took me out every single time. Um and actually I talked to Sydney after and I didn't say this. She said the exact same thing that I did and I hadn't mentioned that this was my problem. Um I hope that that changes. That's something that could develop, especially as he plays the character more. Maybe he comes more into himself and doesn't feel like just a Harvey clone. But in the first episode, I really didn't like it. The other problem that I had was the mystery thing, where they were just trying to do the Suits thing, but they didn't do it in as smart a way as Suits. Um, you can make a mystery that we can root for again. That's possible. You can have the courtroom drama that we can root for. That's possible. The other, there's one other thing I didn't like about it. I didn't add this to notes because I kind of forgot I had watched this show. That's how much I did not like the Stephen Amell thing. But the Josh character, his old partner, literally throws that big of a hissy fit because he made fun of him once in public. I'm sure that that could be something that grows where maybe Steven had made fun of him over and over and over again. He got sick of it or something. But in this episode, I was like, that is stupid. Absolutely dumb. I'm willing to
That's a
watch
Suits
more.
thing.
It
How many
I
times does Lewis do that?
yeah,
Like,
but maybe it's
this is
maybe it
very
worked.
clear. Like, Steven is very clearly the Harvey replacement,
Yes, and Josh
and
and
Josh is
Stuart
very clearly the
Lane.
Lewis replacement. Like, that's what they're doing,
Absolutely.
and it's blatant, and I agree with you. It would be better if they were their own characters. The Steven
Yes.
thing didn't bother me as much. I agree with you. Having a Harvey clone doesn't make your show stand out as its own, but more like a Walmart brand of the original show.
That's how it feels.
And I agree with you. I just really like the lawyer stuff. So that's where I'm at. Like everything you're saying, yes, I agree.
I'm willing to keep watching the show because it is Suits. If this was not Suits, and if I didn't usually like Steven in other things and think it's possible that he could grow into his own character, I would be absolutely done with the show. 100%. Yeah,
Fair.
yeah, I don't
Totally
know.
fair.
But I'm going to give at least another 2 episodes probably. And if Steven keeps bugging me, then I probably will just not watch the show.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Like that's fair. I wouldn't be mad if somebody said, this is Walmart brand Suits. I'd rather just rewatch Suits.
I would.
I wouldn't fault anybody for having that opinion.
But you
I
just
just
like
saw
that?
enough of the original Suits that I think Steven could do it. I give a little bit of leeway because they did explain that he wasn't actually Harvey, but was trying so hard to be. And they're gonna bring Harvey into the show. So his character, like they've given enough for me to believe that he's gonna develop into his own character.
I He's supposed to be this great lawyer. I feel like he's had a lot of time, if I'm thinking about this logically, for him to become his own person. And he wouldn't be the 20-year-old who's just trying to be exactly like his mentor anymore. He would be somebody who has his own individual identity, but like it's everything. It's the way he speaks, it's the way he like holds himself, it's the words he speaks, it's everything. And it's too much. It's
Right,
too
but
much.
like if they develop it to where he's trying to be Harvey, right? You would look back at that and see somebody who's trying to be Harvey, not a character who's trying to replace Harvey. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying, but it doesn't feel like somebody who's trying to be Harvey. It feels like someone who happened to take acting lessons to mimic somebody. Wait, that's probably what he did. Doesn't feel like a authentic trying to be like somebody. It feels like, wait, we have the same writers that are writing the words. Wow.
Again, I was just like,
It's
you're not
so
gonna
bad.
know that until you look back at it.
Yeah, I'm going. That's
Right.
why I'm going to watch more episodes. Is mostly because this is my biggest problem with the show by a lot, and I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt and the writers the benefit of the doubt to see if they can
At the
change
very
that.
least, the writers are aware of it.
Yeah, at least they're
Right.
right.
The
That's part of
writers,
the reason why I think it's possible.
yeah. The writers can't come out of this and be like, oh, we didn't know. No, you addressed it in the show. You know what you're doing.
Yeah,
So make it a plot point and move on, or nobody's going to watch your show.
but my favorite part of this so far has been the Erica character. I actually like the Erica character a lot. I like the area. I'm much more interested in the Erica Rick
Yeah,
conflict than I am the main two. Much more interested.
me too. I think that's also going to be a bigger role, too. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope they can pull it off. All right. What is my next one? My next one is Dungeons and Daddies. Have you caught up?
Nope.
Josh, come on. This is so good. They get stuck in a maze and it's a library. And they're looking for individual books that are meaningful to them to escape the maze. It is very funny, but I really liked the allegory, and they didn't mean to do this at all, I don't think. But the allegory of being lost in your life and having to find some kind of knowledge to progress to the next step. Or like in a business coaching type stuff, they'll talk about your boss that you keep facing until you figure out how to beat the boss. You'll just keep going that boss over and over again. But I liked this idea of the library and having to grow and become something more and finds out something new to be able to escape this space. I thought that was really cool. It just the idea of this level and what they've done so far in this episode, I think is fantastic. I hope they keep going with it. It's a cool idea. That's really about it. Pretty short little topic.
Yeah. It's Dungeons and Daddies. You're talking about just an episode.
Yeah, just an episode.
Yeah. So, and it's season 3 Dungeons and Daddies, so it's probably pretty good.
It is pretty good. I really liked this episode a lot.
Good. I'm
One
glad.
of my favorite episodes of the probably of the podcast. Like I really like this episode.
That's high praise. It's very
Yeah.
high praise.
Very, really good. Like really good. And there's
I'll get to it eventually.
What's her name? Beth? Is that her name?
Beth May.
Yeah, Beth. She is a robot who's not affected by the gas that's like chasing them through this labyrinth. So she's inhaling it and blowing it back out and getting high off the fumes that are trying to kill them. It's so funny. It's so good. I really liked this episode.
Good.
All right, man. What is your next one? That was a pretty short little topic for me.
Probably another really short topic. Rescue
Yep.
High Surf.
All right.
This is addicting, stupid, terrible garbage TV.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. But it's better than most other addicting, stupid garbage TV.
Okay.
Yeah. They actually have some interesting characters and they actually deal with some more serious topics in a more serious tone. Like specifically grief. That's the big thing for all of season 1 is every character is really dealing with grief in some way.
Okay. That's cool.
For anybody who hasn't seen this show, it follows lifeguards in Hawaii. And that's really what it's about. But like the captain lost his pseudo son who was trying to be just like him, and he blames himself for him being out there when he got caught out and drowned. They have a newbie character who ignores the captain's orders and in doing so causes the death of a surfer and almost causes her own death too. So she's dealing with that kind of like grief. Now, at the same time, so those are the positive plot points that this show shows.
Okay.
On the other side, you have the character who dated the other character and they're no longer dating. The one is about to get married to somebody else, and boom, as soon as they're about to get married, cheating with the ex.
Of course.
Of course, because you've had the tension built up throughout the entire show, but you had to make them cheat, and it's stupid. And then you have the complete forced romance between the new newbies where you were trying to give them some kind of chemistry, but never worked. So when they finally like hooked up, it was like, okay, this is stupid. And you have the cool guy who's out there sleeping around, doing all the things, and then he gets robbed, and now he has to face his, does he want to grow up? I think that's an interesting plot point for this show because, I mean, no offense, but if you became a lifeguard in life, have you ever like grown up? Like that,
Probably not.
it's just like a job that doesn't feel like a real job, you know? I know it's a serious thing, and I am absolutely not the person to give any crap to lifeguards to because I like barely can even swim. But like, yeah, there's an entire episode where they go on an ATV chase because somebody stole an ATV. And I'm like, I'm sorry, when was it the lifeguard's responsibility to engage in a high speed pursuit? Yeah, no, I don't believe that. Not for one bit.
Not for 1 second.
Yeah.
I watched 2 episodes of this show, and I didn't think it was horrible, but to me, it was like utterly mediocre and just wasn't worth my time. That's
But
really what I felt about it.
utterly mediocre is like 10 times better than the average of this kind of show.
I don't watch that many of these kinds of shows. Like, I don't really like NCIS. I don't really like CSI. I don't really like. I don't even like Law and Order. I like law type shows, but I don't really like Law and Order. This just isn't my kind of show.
You are giving this too high of praise by comparing it to those shows.
What do you compare this to? Like Chicago Fire, I guess.
Like NCIS is like high budget. We're going on for years with this kind of show. This is like low budget, like Baywatch, like soap opera TV.
Okay. Okay.
Like if you're comparing it to NCIS, like yes, it is not going to live up to NCIS.
What would you compare this to then? Is there another show?
Baywatch.
It's not Baywatch bad.
It's better, but that's my point. This is literally Baywatch. It's about lifeguards,
I guess that's true. I guess that's true.
right? And they're soap opera contrived. Like I said, they're chasing. They're doing an ATV chase through
But I
the
feel like
streets
that's a
of
lot of this
no,
kind of show, like the EMT service worker, rescue operator kind of show.
yeah, like 911, but that's very different than NCIS, right? Like you're talking about like a cop investigating a crime and doing his job is very different than like the first responder, right? Like cops is not the same as NCIS,
That's true. That's true.
right? Like if you wanted to talk about like 911 the show, 911 or 911 Lone Star, Baywatch, like those are the kind of shows that this is sitting company with.
Chicago Fire.
Chicago Fire, sure. I've never seen it, but sure. Um, right? Like there's a different like perspective and mentality and like quality of writing difference that goes on there. You may
Yeah.
not like NCIS, that's fine, but it's not soap opera-y like
Like
these kinds of shows are.
old 911 Lone Star
Yeah.
is. Yeah, because it's actually, I don't even know enough about NCIS to really say if it's a relationship driven or not. I've seen like 5 episodes and I've never really gotten it.
Yeah, I don't get NCIS or Law and Order. All of those are different. Like, but that's not the same kind of show. I've
Okay.
seen enough
Okay.
to know that it's not the same kind
Not
of
the same
show,
kind of show.
and that
Okay.
I wouldn't compare them to.
Okay.
Hawaii Rescue or Rescue Hawaii Surf is garbage TV, like
Okay.
plain and simple. But it's meant to be a guilty pleasure
Garbage
show,
TV. Okay.
right? Like that's the difference. If somebody comes up to you and says, "Conlon, my favorite show is NCIS," what goes through your mind?
That you're probably a girl because I don't know any guys who really like it. I'm being stereotypical. That you probably like mystery shows, but you probably don't really like really dark stuff because NCIS deals with like surface level and doesn't get into like the nitty gritty,
Not Criminal
nasty.
Minds. Yeah.
It's not Criminal Minds, and those are the two things that really come to my mind.
Okay. What do you think if somebody came up to you and told you that their favorite show was Baywatch?
That they're honestly a horn dog. That would be my real thought, and that's about it.
That's the difference between the two shows. Is like one you can admit that is your favorite show and you're a little embarrassed about. The other, if you admit is your favorite show, you're a lot embarrassed by because it's such garbage TV. The writing is terrible. The characters are basic and surface level and suck. Right? Like that's the quality difference we're talking about. So if we're talking about those kinds of shows, like, yes, Rescue Hawaii Surf is garbage TV. It is a guilty pleasure show, 100%. But in terms of those kind of shows, this is a better than average one. Would I personally
Okay.
rather watch this or 911? I would put it right between. I like 911 Lone Star is like my top guilty pleasure show. Then I'd probably put this one. Then I'd put the regular 911 show.
So, like, if the show is really just kind of like, but has a guilty pleasure, why not watch something else instead? There's a ton of stuff to watch
Because why did we watch The Circle?
because I was a moron who just couldn't stop.
Yep, that's why. So
Okay.
you turn it on because whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
And then there's enough drama to keep your attention. And then there's enough like, well, would they get together? That you keep watching the show. Right? Just like we turned on The Circle and was like, this is gonna be garbage. We heard the premise is like this is gonna suck. The first episode, both of us were like, that's who's gonna win.
Yep.
But we kept watching because what if we're wrong? What if that guy doesn't win? Right? Like it's you never like intentionally like I'm so excited to go watch this show. It's a guilty pleasure show. You turn it on because of the drama and because it's light and because you don't want something serious and maybe you don't even have to pay active attention to the show throughout the entire thing. And that's
Fair
what this
enough.
show is,
Fair enough.
right?
Do you? So I've been trying to like actively pull those kind of shows out of my life. Do you have any kind of like I wish I didn't watch it, or you just like, I had a good time? Okay.
I didn't finish it and I'm not going to watch any more of it.
Okay.
Um,
Any reason why?
because of the cheating and the garbage. Like
Oh,
it went from a very light show to a we're gonna excuse cheating kind of thing, and I hate that kind of crap.
fair enough.
But like I don't think that there's a bad thing, and like I don't think it's bad to watch these kinds of shows. I don't think you're missing out on anything by watching this versus something else. And who am I to talk to these people that watch these kind of shows where I watch How I Met Your Mother for the umpteenth time?
But here's the thing: How I Met Your Mother for the umpteenth time is probably better than mediocre.
But there's only one way to find out now, isn't there?
That's true.
There's
That's
something
true.
to say for them trying something new,
That's true.
watching a new show, right? Like supporting new actors,
But
supporting a new
there's
show.
also just so many good shows that come out. Like so many.
Okay, but here's the
And
thing. Are you
yeah,
always in the mood to pay attention to a good show?
no. No, you're not.
Are you always want to take the mental capacity it takes to watch a good show?
No.
Do you sometimes want to just sit on the couch and lay in bed and have some garbage TV on while you're snacking on some snacks and playing chess on your phone?
Yes. Yes, that is true. Most of the time when I do that, I'll watch something I've seen before, but every once in a while I'll turn on something new uh like the one that you recommended that I'm watching and I will probably talk about next week, but The Detour. But yeah, something like that is usually what I put in the bag. And so far, The Detour is definitely above average. Absolutely. But you don't know that unless you give it a shot.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So like I don't know if you like the like first responder show and you like
Then
some
why wouldn't you like this?
ridiculous drama, like there's nothing bad about that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little embarrassing to be like, yeah, I just love these kind of shows. Because like, why would you love this kind of a show? It's so bad. The acting is bad. There's only one recognizable actor, and I still haven't even been able to nail down what I know her from.
I actually
Um,
like her. She's the reason I watch the show.
so like whatever it is, there's nothing bad with it. Yes, I was playing Balatro on my Steam Deck or chess on my phone or whatever while half paying attention to the show. It's not like a bad thing. It's not something that I would be like, yeah, I highly recommend that everybody cut this kind of show out of your life because it's just rotting your brain. It's so bad for you. No, cut the Kardashians out of your life. Cut literal garbage out of your life. That is going to be much more productive to you than cutting out stupid
This
soap opera
mediocre show.
shows. Yeah. Like, this is in the area where I'm like, it's not good for you. You're not learning anything. It's not like it's
Not
detrimental to your
challenging
life.
you. It's not inspiring you. It's just a show.
Yeah, that's just a show. So,
Yeah, cool. My next one I might cut out because there's actually a lot that happens in this one. Have you seen the new episode of Severance?
no. I was
Okay.
waiting to, because we caught up to where there was like 3 or 4 episodes left.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to wait and binge watch.
The rest of it.
That's what I'm
Okay.
going to do.
Okay. I'm going to talk about that one later because there's a fairly big twist that I just want you to experience.
Okay.
I liked it. We'll talk about the last two first. Well, I want you to actually go first on this one. Artful Dodger. What did you think?
It was not what I was expecting
Me either.
at all, based on how the show was pitched to me, but I was pleasantly surprised. This is not the greatest show of all time. It wasn't like, I love this show. It was more like, oh, this is surprisingly good.
I love this show. I have been looking for a show that I just have fun with, and there's not like an aspect of it I really feel like takes it down for a very, very long time. And this hit exactly what I've been looking for to the T. Like this is exactly the show that I wanted. Um, it's not this good. Like this would be crazy. But why do I love How I Met Your Mother? How I Met Your Mother is funny. How I Met Your Mother has a lot of heart behind it. How I Met Your Mother has sadness behind it. How I Met Your Mother has characters I care about. Met Your Mother has a world that I care about. And this show has all of that. I like pretty much every aspect of it. There is the main girl has a little bit of like a girl bossy thing going on. I feel like they had to push that in just to push it in. And it's from a time period where the girl wouldn't have been able to be girl bossy. And it's kind of annoying. And she likes to talk about like the patriarchy, and nobody from that time period was going to mention the patriarchy. Kind of dumb. Doesn't like ruin the show, but it takes me out a little bit. But I like the main character a lot. His acting is really good. I like the relationship between the two characters really well. I think it's fantastic. I like his lot in this world. I like the fact that they continue the story of Oliver Twist and actually continue it pretty well. Like I like that. I I like the shenanigans they get into every episode. And I like how every episode is a different shenanigan. Um, I like the medical drama aspect of it. I like how you're dealing with these dumbass people who believe in things that are old. I like, even though it's a little unrealistic, how they're coming up with these new surgeries and making them work. And I think that's really cool. The main girl, something I wish they wouldn't have done in the show is they would have had the main girl be more book smart, but struggled with the actual surgery aspect. I feel like she gets a little bit Mary Sue-ish because she's able to do these surgeries. When it would be much more interesting to me if she really struggled with the surgery aspect and he was really great with the surgery aspect and she just had the reading and he had the surgery and you left that a little bit more separated. I think that would have been more interesting for the show. It made their team work together be a little bit more convincing. Better for the character development. I'm I these are small nitpicks though for me. I like the uncle type character and he's trying to get get Dodger to go to the dark side again, and how he kind of, depending on where he's at in the relationship, decides to go back to this dark side again. I like the the coccyx thing, the Saint Coccyx thing. I thought it was hilarious, and how it connected to the entire story. Very, very funny. Um, there's just a lot of really good, clever, charming things in this show. The one other thing I felt was a little bit off, but didn't ruin the show, is it felt like this was going to be the end, and they knew that it was going to be the end. They weren't going to get another season. Thankfully, they are. It's coming out probably next year. But the end of the season feels like everything kind of gets wrapped up with a bow really easily, instead of being the challenge that it really should be. It doesn't ruin the show. It just could have been better that way. I'm trying to give it every negative I possibly can. I'm trying to be critical of this show, but the fact is, I just freaking loved it. I loved this show.
Okay. Here's my response to you.
Yes.
Your criticisms are wrong.
Okay.
You're
Okay. Tell
you're
me.
just wrong. So
Tell
let's
me.
start with your first one.
Yeah.
Girl boss, right?
Yeah.
Where nobody would have been talking about the patriarchy,
Yeah.
except this was the time and period where that's exactly when it would have started. We're talking about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. We're talking about where women were often more educated than men in terms of a classroom. Um, you're talking about a time period where someone absolutely would be book smart, especially where it's isolated, right? They're not on mainland England,
Mm-hmm.
they're a continent away. So, would the daughter of the governor be able to read books and study? Yeah, absolutely. Would she? Were there people, women in this time frame where they were dreaming bigger than just wife, kids, mother, cooking, cleaning? Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, if you're talking about the time frame is not off for that at all. All right. There's tons of prominent women all throughout history at any point in time who were breaking the rules knowingly to do things. What's her name? The lady given responsible for radiation.
Um, what is her name? What is her
Mary
name?
something.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. I know what you're talking about.
Uh, Madame Curie.
Yep.
Madame Curie, right? When was she? She was like
1903.
slightly right after this time period. Um, so I don't have a problem with the girl bossing at all. If it was every woman in this show,
But it's the fact that
yeah,
it's just
it would
her.
feel like it's just her though. Her sister's very like traditional. The mother is very traditional. The right like do you have a problem with the servant girl going off on her own and being pirate? No, she
Actually,
just kind of
no.
does it.
Just
So
kind of does it.
yeah, so you don't have a problem with that side of things, you know? In a
It
society like
wasn't.
piracy is very much sexist as regular society
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this point in time.
It wasn't the fact that she was doing this stuff that was what kind of bugged me. Again, these are all small nitpicks. It was the way that she talked about it. It was just, it felt, the way that she talked about it, the way that it was written, felt a little bit like we need to pander towards this because we need to pander towards this and make a point. Does that make more sense?
It does, but I still disagree with you
Okay.
because every time that they're talking about it, they're talking about why she can't be doing surgery in the theater, why she needs to play nurse, right? Like, it's not
Why,
like
why, 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 why?
we're just talking about it to talk about it because woman power.
They were giving
It's
some kind of reason
they're
for it.
giving context as to why they're making the decisions that they're making in the show, right? Um, so the next one, following her character, the Mary Sue element,
Mhm.
I actually felt was a very great progression where she was just book smart, matching up with his actual smart and having him be dyslexic was
I
like a
love that
great
aspect.
way to like combine the powers to make one like super surgeon, right?
I agree.
Um, but it's not like she was just like magically good at doing surgery.
I
And it's not
mean,
like she was magically good at creating her antibiotic, right? Like she wanted to use the antibiotic. He said no, you have to test it first.
and then
And
she
so
tested
she
on
went and
herself, which is
tested and worked on it and
great.
got it to a right. So it was progression. Same with her
Yeah.
surgery, right? Like so she came in, she wanted to be a surgeon. He said, "No, you have to be a nurse first. You have to understand everything that goes around here first before we can." And then even when she could, she her first surgery, where did it happen? On a corpse.
Yeah.
And then what was the next step in the surgery? Well, she got to do part of a surgery. He did most of it, and then she got to tie it up. And she we pointed out that she had done a lot of knitting, so she was natural at sewing.
Yeah. They
And
gave
then
good
she did
reasons
a
for that
little bit more with him. And then she did the C-section where he stood outside the door and walked her through it step by step.
and guide her through to do it. Yeah.
Right? So
Absolutely.
it's not like she was just magically good and magically did everything and she's
Nope.
just Miss Perfect.
What about the place where she does the tie valve on the heart and he's not even able to do it? He's able to do it at the end, but she just kind of reaches in there once and ties it right up. That was the part that I felt Mary Sue-ish. Was
I
that
didn't
part?
because you had already established like
Yeah, that's true. But this is supposed to be significantly harder.
right. But he still did all of the surgery except for the knot, right? She tied the knot, I feel like, because her fingers were smaller, not
And
because
that's
she
it.
was Miss Surgeon,
Okay.
right?
Fair
And
enough.
it's
Fair enough.
also a surgery that they had talked about together, right?
That's
This was
true.
her surgery that she was suggesting that she had read the research on. She was more knowledgeable on. She was walking him through it. She wanted him to do it. He was very hesitant to do it,
Yeah.
but then
To save her
decided
life.
to do it and she stepped in and she tied the knot because he couldn't quite hook his fingers the way because he had big fingers or whatever.
Mhm.
Right. I'm
That's
not
fair enough.
saying
That is
it's
a fair enough
perfect,
answer.
but it's enough of an explanation that I don't feel like she's Mary Sue perfect at everything, especially when she has a lot of other character flaws.
And there's a lot of other development, even if fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
not perfect. I would say that's pretty good, right? In terms of this
Yeah.
story and what they were doing. What were your other negative marks?
Mostly it was the girl bossy thing. Oh, and the ending feels rushed. That's kind of
And the
the other
ending
main
feels
one.
rushed. Kind of what you get when these with these shows of everything. I don't feel like it was rushed, partially because I feel like a lot of these plot points were drug out,
Interesting. Okay.
right? Like they kind of delayed Jack getting arrested so that they could get to this point, and they delayed a lot of these other things so that it could kind of come together at the end. So it had some stuff that just kind of like was pushed in, some stuff come from this side, and it was just like, okay, I get it. They're ending their show. They might not get a second season.
You want to clean up with a boat. Like I said,
You
very
want to clean it up.
small,
It's fine.
small issue. It just felt a little rushed to me, but
Yeah.
small issue.
My last thing I wanted to note on the show
Yeah.
was the uncle's acting.
Okay.
I think this is the best acting I've ever seen him do.
What else have you seen him in?
Harry
I didn't
Potter.
recognize him. He's Harry Potter?
He
Who's
plays
that actor?
Remus, the guy who turns
Oh.
into a werewolf.
Oh. I didn't realize it was him.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Very
I
cool.
hate Harry Potter, so this was very easily to say this is the best version I've seen him,
Of
and he
him.
did a great job with it.
Yeah, he did. That's cool. I didn't realize it was him.
Yeah.
Um,
They've still left enough open for a season two, but didn't leave it so open you feel like there's this giant cliffhanger.
yeah, if it ended, it would be totally fine. I would be very, very, very happy with what I watched. I'm also very happy they're getting a season two. Like very
Yeah,
happy they're getting a season two.
yeah.
I
So
uh
where? Go ahead.
I just saying I love this show. Like genuinely loved it, given all the negatives I can possibly think of. Um for me, this I'm tempted to give this a 9. That's how much I like this show. Probably a high 8. I
Okay,
loved this show. What would you give it?
7.5.
Okay. You did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it. I loved this show.
I think if I was more in the right headspace to be watching a more serious show, I might have enjoyed it more. Um, but like I have no major complaints about it. Um, there are some funny things. There are some more serious things. Uh, I don't feel like there's enough serious things for me to give it credit for being a more serious show in terms of like what the characters actually deal with. Because even the like more serious thing of this, the main character was abandoned in jail by his father figure, is kind of more like an afterthought and a punchline to a joke than him actually having to deal with seeing this person again.
I
So
thought
there's
they
some
had
funny
a
stuff. There's
serious
some
thing
good
of
stuff.
like um letting go of your old self to become something different, how becoming something different affects everyone around you, how you can revert back to who you used to be, the idea of what is worth sacrificing for. You have the uncle character who says you've always been number one and is willing to sacrifice for him at the end. The
Except he
ideas
wasn't.
of
No.
what
Except he wasn't.
he totally was. What are you talking about?
He didn't sacrifice himself for shit.
He he didn't end up doing that at the end, but I think he was willing to do it.
I don't think he
Um,
was.
like yeah, you got a lot of different things there. You have religion, and I think this show does paint religion in a negative light pretty much all the way through. But it deals with religion and corruption and what do we actually follow our faith or do is it just part of our culture and we act upon the culture. It deals with that aspect of things. It deals with quite a bit. And does it dig super deep into any of this? No, not really. But it digs enough to keep the show and the world that you're involved in very interesting.
That's fair.
I really like it.
That's fair. And I'm not mad at like I said, if I was expecting a more serious show and had been more prepared for it, I might have liked it better.
Okay.
I'm still excited for season two. It just it falls in the realm of like I would recommend this show with some caveats. So
Really, I've been telling every single person that I know to watch this show. Everyone, every single person, because if you're a romance hater, there's enough interesting character work to be interesting. If you're a history person, there's enough history to be interesting. If you're a character driven person, the characters are good enough to be interesting. If you're an acting person, the acting is good enough to be interesting. If you're a comedy person, there's enough comedy to be interesting. Like it just does everything good, at least good, in my opinion.
yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad I recommended it to you.
I'm
Glad
so
we
glad. I
watched it.
actually wanted to have you thank whoever told you to watch this show because of how much I liked this.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't have watched it otherwise. I had never heard of this show. I don't think I would watch this show, and I genuinely loved it.
Well, let's hope they can keep it up for season two.
I hope so. I hope so. All right, let's go to our final topic, Nosferatu. Um, This show, I love a lot of aspects of this show. I think the guy who plays the Count is insanely good, like phenomenal. The gothic aspects of the show are very well done. I think the cinematography is beautiful. It's not a scary show, but they do a good job of having it be a horror. We're talking about that a couple weeks ago. Um, I think the horror of the aspects of it are very good. The gothic aspects of it are very good. I like most of the acting incredibly well. The main girl, I think, is the biggest problem with this movie. The entire time, Lily Rose Depp is the main actress. Her eyes are exactly the same. And I have never had something like this pull me out of a show as much as it did in this movie, which is a shame because I like pretty much all the other aspects of this movie quite a bit. I think it's well done. Her eyes looked dead the entire time. And I thought that I was crazy when I finished it. So I literally went back to scenes in the movie and I was like, do her eyes look any different? She's happy and she's in love. Her eyes look dead. She's haunted. Her eyes look dead. She's getting fed on by a vampire. Her eyes look dead. And I don't get it. There's times where you get a lesser actress or actor and they'll show the smiles and stuff, but their eyes don't quite reflect it and don't connect with you the same. But there's usually a change in the eyes. In this movie, her eyes look like she is a druggie the entire time. And it really pulled me out, unfortunately, from an otherwise very good movie. They do a good job of vampires originally were symbolisms for the Antichrist because Christ gave his blood to redeem us. And vampires take their blood to survive. It's kind of the dichotomy between the two of a religious symbol. Very interesting with the vampire logos, and they did a good job with making this gritty, dark, terrifying vampire type character. But the main actress that's supposed to connect me to this movie looks dead the entire time. I wondered if it was just her. So I watched some interviews with her, and it's not. It's just this movie. And I don't know why. I don't get it.
Do you at all think it was on purpose because her character gave her soul before the beginning of the show?
I wondered that. And if that's the case, maybe it's genius, but I still didn't like it.
Okay. Well, here's
Unfortunately.
your fun fact for the day.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Vampires pre-existed Christianity.
Very cool.
There's actually a meme that's like, could you imagine being a vampire the day after Christ was resurrected and having somebody walk in with a symbol you've never seen before and it just starts burning you?
That's
Or
awesome.
throws water at you that you've never heard of before because some guy many miles away from where you are. Anyway,
Did you know that?
it's a fun
I
fact.
mean, with Dracula, that was part of the symbolism is going the opposite of Christ, Antichrist type of thing.
Yeah.
Did you know that Bram Stoker's wife actually sued the original Nosferatu because it was a blatant copy of Dracula and they had to get rid of a ton of copies. So for like 30 years, this movie was not able to be found until they found another copy and it spread like wildfire.
I had no idea. It's interesting.
I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't know vampires were that old. That's very cool.
Yeah. I don't know if they were called vampires, but there was always that kind of drink your blood kind of demon character, monster, and some pretty ancient mythology. There you go.
That's cool.
So before we go on to my review,
Yeah.
what do you rate this show out of 10?
I also don't think the sexual aspects of this show really helped it in any way. It's one where I kind of think you might rate it lower because of that, and so do I. 6.9.
Okay. IMDb has it as a 7.3, Rotten Tomatoes an 84, Prime 7.3, audience score 73%. And you said
6.9, right around there.
6.9. So a
It's
little
above
lower,
average show.
but right about there.
There's a lot of good stuff in it. I do like the main director a lot. There's a lot of good stuff in here, but there's just also some negatives.
There is one good thing in this movie,
Okay.
and it is Willem Dafoe.
He's great in it.
There's a lot of okay in this show. Nicholas Hunt plays Thomas. I had no idea Bill Skarsgård is the guy who plays Nosferatu, the Count.
Nosferatu, and he
He's
plays
also It.
it. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
phenomenal in this. He's
uh,
great.
he does okay. Some of the shots in this show are phenomenal and are very gothic in nature and feel great. Other
Okay.
shots in this show are utter garbage and pull me out of it.
Really? Okay, I didn't get
Yeah,
that at all. I liked the
yeah.
shots. That was not my
So,
problem.
so specifically, there's the scene when he first enters the castle. There's the scene where they show his face, and there's this beautiful architecture, and you go, "What an amazing scene!" And
Yeah.
then they cut to him walking away, and they show him from the back, and you can tell that the set designer put in 1/1000th the effort because this is just a quick little shot of him walking to the set. Right. So there's some really good sets designs. There are enough kind of not great ones that
Okay.
I think even it out because that scene specifically because it's right back to back. It jumped out to me immediately when I was watching
Okay.
this show.
I saw
I was
some
like,
decent ones, but then there's like the part where he's rowing down the canal and there's the building in the distance, like the building that he's going to move to. It's gorgeous. It's
yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah,
And the part where the hand is stretching over the city, awesome.
pretty good, pretty good. But there's also some scenes where they don't put that much effort into.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
to me, it was quite noticeable which ones they didn't put as much effort into, and it took me out of it. Uh, Lily Rose Depp is a terrible actress.
She is not good in this. Like,
I have not seen her in anything else.
I haven't either, but she was
She
bad in
is
this.
terrible. Uh, it's supposed to be horror. I feel like there were times where they did a really good job with creepy, but I think was still a bad horror, if that makes sense. Like
Interesting.
the
I
the
liked
hand out reaching over the city, him being stuck in the castle, creepy things, not horror things. Didn't fill me with any kind of fear or anxiety of any kind.
but it's
Kind of a tightrope that I'm dancing right there. I understand that, but like I want to give like I'm not somebody who gets scared when I watch movies, so I really want to call out the ones that make me feel anxiety or feel pressure or feel something. This one didn't.
does so like Bloodborne. Bloodborne is not really I don't really get scared in Bloodborne, but the atmosphere I would call horrifying. It has that gothic
Yeah,
horror aspect. Do you
yeah.
give credence to this movie doing that well? Because I do. I do think it does that
I don't.
aspect well. You don't.
I
Okay.
don't. No,
Okay.
because when I'm playing Bloodborne, and I know it's a different thing because I'm playing a game, but like when I was playing Bloodborne for the first time, even though when the creatures jumped out didn't actually scare me, I was still feeling that I was primed for it. If that makes sense,
Okay. Yeah, I can see
right?
what you're saying.
This one didn't,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And I credit most of that to those shots that took me out of it because those shots that do look good are great gothic architecture. Uh, Gothic Victorian architecture. It's just there's enough shots that take me out of it, and I don't feel like it was actually lit dark enough. There was too much light in this movie to make it really
Hmm.
give that feeling.
Okay. I didn't think that, but all right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I've got a standout actor, I've got a terrible actor, I've got two good, okay actor showings. I've got good scenes and I've got terrible scenes in terms of how they look.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the script sucked.
Interesting. Okay. I
Like the
agree with
story
that
of
for
this,
one point.
what?
The ship. How the freak did that ship get to Pittsburgh? How the hell did that happen? It doesn't explain it at all. I literally looked it up after and I was like, can you get a ship from the sea to Pittsburgh? You can't. That doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Um, but other than that, I thought the script was good. It's basically the same story as the first one.
I don't know what the first one is. Just I was uninterested in the story.
Okay.
Um, I felt betrayed by the story because it did get hypersexual and did not establish that at the beginning of the show, like you're kind of supposed to when you're telling these kinds of stories. You have to like prepare the audience for what you're about to see. I know horror kind of breaks that rule often, but every time it does break that rule, I'm not really happy about it.
Fair enough.
The whole plot device sucked. The motivations of the characters sucked. Like, just didn't care. Like, I would not recommend this movie to anyone.
I
Is it
yeah,
better than It Follows? Yes, it is.
yes.
Does it have some redeeming qualities about it? Yes, it
Yes.
does. Does it fall above the line of recommendation? Is it recommendable or not? No.
That's actually fair. And I should probably lower my score a little bit because now I wouldn't recommend this to. There are aspects of it where I'm like, if you're really into the gothic aspect, there's parts of this movie that are worth watching. If you really like the vampire aspect, there's parts of this movie that are worth watching. But there's a lot of negatives. There's a lot.
So if I was a horror fanatic and I hadn't seen it yet and I love vampires, would you recommend this movie?
Yes.
Okay, I wouldn't. There
Okay.
is nobody I would recommend this movie to.
Wow. So I'm guessing you're giving it like a 2, 1.
It's not a 2, it's not a 1. Like I said, I didn't hate this movie. I didn't absolutely dread watching it. I didn't want to turn it off at every single moment I was watching it.
Just kind of
Right?
bored.
That's a 2 and a 1, right? 5 is absolutely mediocre. It is Black Panther. Right? There's nothing good about it. There's nothing bad about it. It is exact that's 5, right? I would give it like a 4.5.
Okay.
Right?
That's pretty rough.
I'm not like I
If
don't hate that I watched it. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Will I ever watch it again? No.
me either.
Would I rather watch Black Panther than Nosferatu?
No.
Yes,
I would
I
rather
would.
watch Black Panther, or I would rather watch Nosferatu than Black Panther. I
I
would.
would rather watch Black Panther. Willem Dafoe did a phenomenal job.
He's
I was
great.
not expecting a Willem Dafoe appearance in the show. He showed up. He absolutely killed it at what he was doing, as he
Yeah.
usually always does. So I guess that's the one person I would recommend it to.
Someone
A
who loves
Willem
William
Dafoe
Dafoe.
fan who hasn't seen Nosferatu yet. I might be like, yeah, sure, he does a great job in this movie.
I I did think Bill Skarsgård did a very good job. Like, and I didn't recognize him at all, and just very very good job. Um, William Dafoe is great in the movie. The cousin or whatever his name is pretty good. The main guy, I've seen him and I like him better in other things, but he does a pretty good job. And Lily Rose Depp is terrible, which is just another shame. Like,
He's in
really.
Juror Number 2, and he's also in Warm Bodies.
He is also in another vampire movie, Renfield, which I actually think is kind of underrated. I liked this movie more than I thought I was going to.
Okay.
It's not great, but it is, and I highly enjoyed that movie, even though it's kind of dumb. Do you know Renfield at all?
No.
It's another Dracula movie, but it's with Nicolas
I know
Cage,
what
and
it
he
is.
plays Dracula. It's a dumb movie that is mostly taken down because Aquafina's in it, and Aquafina makes everything worse. Everything. She has never made anything better. She's terrible.
I'll take your word for it.
Aquafina is my least favorite actress, probably in anything. I really do not like her. Anyway, I probably am rating it a little too high. It's probably closer to a 6, but it's
Hey, you like it.
yeah, it's
There's
closer
nothing
to a
wrong
6.
with it. I'm not mad at people for liking the show. It's just,
It's my thing is I do have a lot of negatives and I wouldn't watch it again. And usually 7 is like if somebody wanted to watch it, sure, but I wouldn't. There's too many negatives that don't outweigh the positives for me. But it's not to the point where I think it's a negative movie and below back Black Panther because I will never watch Black Panther ever again. Ever.
I will never watch Black Panther ever again either. But if somebody said, hey, I'm putting on Black Panther, I'd be like, please, can we watch something else? They'll say no. I'd be like, okay, whatever. It's fine. Because it's mediocre. I don't hate Black Panther. It's just it's mediocre. This one I would fight a little harder on. Because if you
Okay.
want to watch something horror, why don't we watch something actually horror?
So this one has the gothic aspect that I like, and it has the vampire that I like, and it has the Will Dafoe that I like. Um, Black Panther, I guess, has Andy Serkis, I guess. But other than that, there's literally nothing that I would rather just not watch a different movie with. This one, I'm like, there are some aspects, some that I can really get behind, and I would rewatch those aspects and realize that Lily Rose will make this movie worse.
I don't think she ruined this show.
Oh, I think she made it
She is a
significantly worse.
bad actor, absolutely, but like her
She's
character didn't really have a lot to do anyway, right? Like she's a main actor, a main character
she's
that
like the main
didn't
character,
really
and she
matter.
has nothing to.
That's the
You're right,
Yeah,
and
that's the
but
problem with
she's
the
on the
plot
screen a
and the
lot,
writing.
and people don't like. I went and looked through reviews, and I read a bunch of them, and nobody brings her up. They're all just like, this movie just didn't really work for me, and couldn't think of a reason why. The
I've heard
reason it didn't
nothing but
work
good
for
things
you
about this
is
movie.
because of Lily Rose Depp and the fact that you do not connect with this character at all. And if you don't connect with this character, her sacrifice at the end is meaningless to you. And it makes the entire story less valuable.
Yeah, and I credit, despite her bad acting, the writing and the plot.
Over. Okay.
Because, like, what did she have to work with to make us care about her?
Very, very, very little.
Like,
Very little.
nothing. Like, you care about her friend more than her.
Yep.
Because
Absolutely.
her friend's character actually has depth.
Some kind of depth. You care about her mostly because you kind of like the main guy and you know that he's in love with her.
Yeah.
But you don't care about her at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all, unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, 4.5 for me. Because, like,
Okay.
I don't hate that I watched it, but it's less than mediocre. I know that, like, I'm just not, like, as much of a horror person as you are, and that could account for the difference in scores there.
It's possible. And I do just like good vampires. I like dark vampires. Man, I want to give the credit somewhat to this show just for having a dark vampire in it. I'll be completely honest. There's a little bit of a bias there.
Yeah, that could be it too. I'm actually curious if I watched this at like half brightness, if I would like it better.
It's interesting. That's interesting.
Because I do think that the show is way too physically bright for the story that they're telling. Like, even when he's in the castle, it's very well lit. And when I was watching it, I was like, that's just such a mistake. Make the quarters of your vampire a dark and creepy place, not somewhere that the sun is shining all the time. What are you doing? It's, yeah. Um,
Well, guys, I think that is our episode. I would be interested in what you think of Nosferatu. I bet a lot of you have never heard of Artful Dodger, and I love this show. Did you guys like Nosferatu? Do you have other vampire picks? Because I like vampire movies. I'm a sucker for vampire movies, even bad vampire movies. And if you've got a
you
recommendation
watched
that's
Twilight.
not that one, I don't like that one. Vampire movies where the vampires are like actually like scary bad things. Um, if you have any recommendations for that, I would totally be down. Watch Artful Dodger. It's great. We appreciate you guys. If you have any other shows like Rescue High Surf, I bet Josh would love some more crappy stuff to watch because apparently Rescue High Surf is worth more time than Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it is.
I disagree, but that's all right. Anyway, we appreciate you guys. See ya.